What's up, everybody? Welcome to Recruiting Masters Podcast, Episode 11, brought to you by the CFC Insider. I'm Katie Burt, Content Manager for CanadaFootballChat.com, alongside Clint, Lead Analyst and Head of the CFC Scouting Bureau and former U Sports Head Coach. Hey, Clint, how's it going?
Good. Yourself?
I'm good. So are you ready to talk some prospects here?
Let's talk some prospects and let's get a bit more information out about the prospect game.
Awesome. So about that prospect game, we definitely have now got the rosters set. May 2nd is the roster reveal on TSN on the CFL Draft show, so make sure you tune into that. It's going to be awesome. The rosters were finalized a week later than we had anticipated, which did cause a bit of a delay. I know all you parents were anxiously awaiting some notice. However, now I understand, Clint, that everyone's been contacted.
At this point, there's one piece left out of 70. So, it took a little bit longer than expected. Kind of the delay, I guess, or the lag was the fact that as you set the roster, there's a lot of different people doing a lot of different things, and the responses maybe don't come in as quick as you'd want initially. So, there was a bit of a delay. But it seemed to really shake itself out and clear itself up. There's going to be basically, we had planned on a 60-man roster. We've pushed it to a 70, which just seemed to make more sense as we were going through the evaluations. So, and the selection committee is now complete. They kind of came in to play when it came to the close decisions, or where just a player or a group of players had kind of not really separated themselves from one another. So that's all done. So considering it was the first time through the process, it went pretty smooth. We've tried to contact everybody involved at this point. Probably say 98 to 99% of those people have been contacted. Some with a phone call, some with an email. If you didn't receive something, I would take a look in your email box, and I can guarantee you probably have something in your email box. So so it's 99.9% complete.
Good to know. So that game is the CFC prospect game that's going to be broadcast on TSN on June 1st. First time ever high school All-Star game has been broadcast on national television. So make sure that you tune in for that if you're not able to get there. Otherwise, it's going to be in Ottawa at TD Stadium Place, I understand. So make sure we're going to have a bunch more information coming out regarding tickets and all that stuff. You don't want to miss that. So be sure to follow us on Facebook, our Twitter @chatfootball, and Instagram CFC_football, and our YouTube account for more exclusive content and more updates as we get closer to these dates. So let's get right to it. We've got the CFC100s 2020. There's some newcomers that are coming on the list again that we're going to carry on with. So let's get right down to it. Defensive back Tanner Eber, 6'1", 160 pounds, out of Bishop James Mahoney in Saskatchewan. He understands angles, looks pretty solid in his lateral movement. And I would say that he was one of the top 2 defensive backs when it came to the one-on-ones in the competition drills in the Calgary tryout. What do you think?
Yep, Tanner was a late addition to the invitation-only tryouts. In those games, he did an awesome job. He actually played so well that he played himself onto the CFC150. Big, tall, long kid. Probably project better as a half or a free, a corner or a free, but he did a really good job. He was, it would be accurate to say that during the competitive period, he was probably the second best defensive back in Calgary.
Yeah, he was a little bit of a surprise there. Next up, we have linebacker Joshua Ma. He's coming from Dakota and Manitoba. He was at the Winnipeg tryouts. Now, 5'8", 210, but don't let that deceive you. Like most of us were, he surprised all of us that were there, and in a good way. He really stuck out. He's really thick, is extremely fit, and also his change of direction skills were pretty solid. And he stays quite low to the ground. You know, he is 5'8", but he plays pretty low.
Yep, Josh did a really good job. He at first, obviously, he was invited for a reason. The local coaches and the people who work with CFC in the area nominated him, and he was on the list. So at first we were like, oh, 5'8", here we go. 210 pounds is it's packing it on there. But once you got a chance to see him actually move around, you could see that he is thickly built in the lower half, and he is fit. He actually, I know there's probably some coaches will be like 5'8". I wouldn't get too hung up on the 5'8".
No.
I would say he's going to be an outstanding inside linebacker. Wherever he ends up, at this point, somebody's going to see his film and he's going to get a shot to play somewhere, and whoever does get him is not going to be disappointed because I saw a legitimate youth sports prospect running around. Even and I'm going to stop talking about his weight because he had a really thick lower half. His change of direction skills were awesome. The coach, it's Kelsey McKay, the Vincent Massey head coach who just won a provincial title with his team. He was raving about Joshua. So, I mean, when you get the reigning provincial champs, head coach talking about you and plugging you, you obviously made some sort of impact on him or during the time you played them. So, I mean, yeah, Joshua did a really good job. He played himself in the CFC150 as well. He did ask where he did come in on the 150, so he'll just have to wait for that.
Next, we have defensive tackle Sean Lazada, 6'1", 230, also at Bishop James Mahoonie, Saskatchewan. We do have another CFC 100, Tyson Krushelinski, who's also on that team. So there sounds like there's quite a few athletes coming out of that BGM high school program. He's pretty dominant in the one-on-ones as well that we saw, and he was going up against some top offensive linemen.
Yep, I would say the Calgary tryout as a collective group had some really good offensive linemen. Probably, I would say between 3 or 4 of them, and that 3 or 4, I think even maybe 5 of them may have pushed their way onto the prospect game rosters, which you'll have to find out till May 2nd. However, he went against some legit competition in Calgary, and at first we saw the 6'1", 230 frame, and we were kind of like, oh, he's too short to be an end, and he's too light to be a defensive tackle. And then we actually went through the drills. You're like, not bad. And then you got into the competitive period, and he absolutely stood out during the period. You know, primarily as a pass rusher, because that's what we do in that period, just because there's not really any way to do a lot of the inside run stuff without doing inside run itself or some sort of a board drill. But, I mean, he was unbelievable. He was exploding out of his stance. He was he was just collapsing the pocket with regards to pass rushing and bull rushing and so on and so forth. So Sean did a really good job. I mean, obviously at 6'1", he's going to have to rely on that quickness, and he's also going to have to bulk up. But he did a really good job and pushed his way onto the 150 as well.
So next we have defensive end Nathan Clark from Fredericton, New Brunswick, plays at Fredericton. The Black Cats, I believe they're called. Anyways, he's 6'2", 240. He was not at the trials. However, when you watch his film, you can see that he's pretty good at keying, diagnosing plays, as well as reading and reacting on the line of scrimmage. Yep,
Nathan, his name was pushed to us by a current CFL defensive tackle who may have been born in the Fredericton area. So we were alerted to him by that particular defensive lineman who plays for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers and went to the Acadia University. Anyways, so we watched film on him, and yeah, he wasn't wrong. So, I mean, Nathan too, at 6'2", 240 pounds, obviously he's probably going to put on some weight as he heads into his senior year, but he demonstrated why he got such a high recommendation from an outstanding football player. So, I mean, yeah. So he is probably the newest member from the Maritimes to move or to work his way onto the CFC 150.
Yeah, it's fun. It's always fun when we get the Maritime kids on there because we're not out there usually, so it's good to see them come on the list. Next, we have defensive back Brandon Slovakian from St. Paul's program in Manitoba. 6'2", 187 pounds. He's built more like a linebacker. He was in the top 5 for the Powerball testing at the combines, and he did a pretty good job in the T-test as well for his size, I thought.
Yep, Brandon did a really good job. Brandon actually finished second in the Powerball, so he was right behind one of the stronger offensive linemen who went through all the drills across the country, not just in Winnipeg. But Brandon played Double A last year for St. Paul's, or however they're breaking up their teams right now. I know they have 2 separate teams, but I mean he did a really good job. He's big, he's tall. My notes were just like looks like a linebacker, moves like a free safety. It's kind of where my notes were at. Obviously, he has a powerful lower half because he scored as high as he did in the Powerball, and he has pretty good lateral quickness. So I'm sure he's going to be one of their bigger. Well, obviously they're bigger, but one of the DBs that they're going to rely on the AAA team going into his senior year at St. Paul's. And he too, just off his performance and the fact that he's 6'2" and he's 190 pounds and plays in the secondary, that really caught our eye.
Yeah.
Powerball, T-test, all those things. So yeah, he's another one of those kids who we went through the invitation only tryouts, and because they attended the tryout and because they tested well, they once again Brandon pushed himself onto the CFC150 as well.
If you want to listen to the rest of the Recruiting Masters podcast, become a CFC Insider member today for exclusive access to rankings, analysis, and daily football recruiting news from across Canada. Head over to CanadaFootballChat.com to sign up now.